Hi, I'm Cindy Grisdela. I'm an artist, and my medium is fabric and thread. These are some of my favorite pieces that I'm showing here in the gallery. They range from statement pieces that you could hang on a large wall to smaller 12 by 12s that are mounted on canvas. I'm really honored to have this show here in the gallery this month. I'm intrigued by color, obviously, line and shape, just like any other artist. But there's a reason why I chose to create my art with fabric and thread instead of paint or some other kind of medium. Just like any other artist, I design my graphic, contemporary, dynamic compositions first, usually starting with the color. I cut the shapes freehand and then sew them together. But as an artist who works with textiles, then I have another opportunity to add texture and dimension to the work with the stitching lines. I chose as the title for my show, Dreaming in Color, Textured Shapes, because I feel that those elements are really what drive me as an artist. Color is just such an integral part of my work. And then I add texture to the shapes, as I said, with the stitching lines, which is something that is unique to this style of art making. I really enjoy the tactile nature of adding the stitching lines as I feel them grow underneath my fingers as I stitch. I stitch all of the lines on my compositions freehand. There's no computer or marking ahead of time that tells me where to go. I'm using my needle and thread like a pencil or brush and drawing with them. And that's something that is really exciting to me, and it keeps me coming back to the studio every day, being able to add that extra dimension. Some of the quilts, like this one behind me, have very dense motifs stitched into the different shapes in the composition. Some others have just irregularly spaced straight lines. It just all depends on what the composition seems to need or want. And that's something that I decide as I am going through the process. So I would encourage you to look at the compositions from a distance, but also come up and look at them in the close up, so that you can get really a sense of that texture. This quilt that I'm standing in front of is called Aquarius. I started out with this idea of this sort of abstract pod shape that I used very warm, cheerful colors, hot pinks, reds, purples, to make that shape come forward in the design. And then I used cooler colors in the blues and purples that sort of tend to flow underneath that shape. So it could be a bird or a fish, a bird in the air, or a fish in water. And I was just really sort of excited about that result that came from that. This one also has some really interesting stitching lines, if you have a chance to look at it up close. I love my large-scale wall pieces. My work is meant to hang on the wall as art. It's not a utilitarian kind of a process like you might think of quilt making sort of in a traditional sense. I also have a number of pieces that are smaller and mounted on painted black canvas. They range from 12 by 12 to 18 by 24 inches, and they hang on a wire just like a painting. I hope that you will think of these like I do as sort of textile paintings, and that you will enjoy browsing the show.